Hi everyone! Last year I made a blog post on a whim that actually got a lot more attention than I expected. So I thought I would put it in video form to share it with you guys as well. So there is an old saying that goes, "Another day, another dollar," which originally meant basically a humdrum work day. You go to work, you earn your dollar for that day, you come home. However, as of late, I've started putting a little bit of a spin on this saying. To me, it means that whatever amount of money I spend on an object, I'm hoping that it lasts me at least that many days. So if you take this in the context of corsets, basically if I buy an off-the-rack corset for $60, it had better last me at least 60 days or 2 months worth of wear. I once had a corset that cost me close to $45. I thought it was an awesome investment because, I didn't have to pay very much for it, but it only lasted me maybe 20 or 30 wears before it completely started falling apart. So I consider this to be a bad investment, no matter how cheap the corset is. I had a corset that only lasted me about 1 week of wear that I paid $80 for, and that was a really bad investment. However, if I had just kind of bit the bullet and bought a $400 corset that lasted me 600 wears over a 2-year span, this I consider to be a much wiser investment, because if I wear a corset on a nearly daily basis and I'm on a budget, I don't want to be continually buying a new corset every couple of months when the cheap ones break. So even if the price tag hurts right now, you might find that it's more economic in the long run to buy the more expensive corset. Not only will you get more bang for your buck, but you'll also keep a lot of cheap corsets out of the landfill, and you'll be supporting independent corseteers instead of sweatshops. And basically everybody wins. I use this technique for more than just corsets as well. For example, in the case of electronics, in university I had a laptop that cost about $1,000 at the time, but this laptop lasted me 5 years before it crashed. Now, after I had to get it repaired, I can still use the laptop now, but I have a different main computer now. But basically, for those 5 years, I used that laptop every single day. That's about 18,000 days. So I calculate that I spent about 55 cents a day owning this laptop. In the case of buying junk food or going to restaurants, basically if I buy a chocolate bar for $2, I'll break it in half and I'll try as best as possible to enjoy them on 2 different days. So this method has greatly helped with both my spending habits for spontaneous purchases and also helping me deal with my kind of sugar addiction. So I rarely go out to restaurants, and if I only go to a restaurant, say once every 2 months, I don't have to feel bad spending $50 on a really nice meal, because I basically saved up over those 2 months, putting away $1 a day to be able to enjoy that. In the case of other clothing, apart from the corsets, I almost never buy any sort of expensive or designer clothing. So if I buy a decent shirt for about $40 and I wear that shirt maybe once every 2 weeks, and I own it for about 2 years before it falls apart, that's a total of 52 wears. So that investment is worth it because I spent less than $52 on it. Other examples might include buying an exercise machine versus going to the gym. So I found an elliptical off Craigslist. I bought it for $50, and in my area it's about $2 a day to own a gym membership if you're buying it for the whole year or something. So I decided to just buy this elliptical because I love using the elliptical machine, and I said, well, if I use it for at least 50 days, I consider it paid off. Another thing I do is I buy a lot of music, so I love to support the bands that I really like. So if I buy a CD for say $20 and then I put that into my playlist, I might listen to it 80 times or even 100 times, and that's not unreasonable for me. So I might only be spending about 20 or 25 cents for each playthrough of that album. So I consider that basically worth the investment. Yet another thing would be musical instruments. So basically, between the ages of about 3 years old to 11 years old, I begged my parents to take piano lessons, and I really had to prove to them that I was really serious about this. So when we moved, we bought a piano for about $2,000, and I played it every single day between the ages of 13 to 19 when I went off to university, and I still play it on an occasional basis today. So I'd probably estimate that we spend about 75 cents a day owning this piano and having it tuned and keeping up with it for all the time, all the days that I've actually spent using it. So an example of something that I probably wouldn't buy or consider worth buying is probably going to the movies or buying DVDs unless they're like in the bargain bin, because when I watch a movie I find it really hard to watch it again unless it's a real classic. So unless I can buy it for about $2, I tend not to buy a lot of movies. Also, I tend not to buy books when I could just go to the library and read those ones, although I do have quite a collection of collector's books and special edition hardbacks and whatnot, but I consider it better to just go to the library and rent one out for free. In the past, I've purchased really cheap bras for like $15. I don't even think it lasted me 15 wears, like maybe only 5 wears, because it was so uncomfortable. The underwires were poking into me, caused bruising. So I consider that a bad investment, even though I only spent $15. It didn't work out. So obviously there are some exceptions to this dollar per day rule. For instance, housing and transportation. So if you buy a car for say $18,000, it's not going to last you 50 years if you drive it every single day, even if you just keep it up to the best of your abilities and like replace every part. So likewise, you'll probably not live 250 years if you buy a $100,000 house. Well, you're probably not going to live 250 years anyways. But if there are multiple people living in that house, then maybe it would work out that way. Another thing that I would consider spending more than $1 a day on is proper food, proper nutrition. So when I was in university, for a while I was surviving only on about $5 per week. So I ate a lot of lentils, a lot of beans and carrots and apples. And you know, you're not getting the right nutrition, your health suffers, you might go a little insane because of the meal boredom. And it might lead you to, you know, doing something in desperation, like going out and buying fast food. And you know that's not worth it. It's not worth your health, and it's not worth your money to go to restaurants a lot of the time. And another thing is luxuries. Basically, the definition of luxury is that you don't have to worry about the cost. So there's a certain threshold in any item that you buy, not just corsets, where basically the utility of the object sort of levels off compared with the price. And I have corsets that are worth over $1,000, and I don't intend to wear them 1,000 times. I probably don't intend to wear them 100 times. They're mostly sitting in their nicely engraved box in their acid-free paper, and I take it out and look at it once in a while, and I might wear it for a special occasion, maybe 1 or 2 times a year, but that's pretty much it. However, I do consider those an investment. I consider them heirlooms where I can pass them down to my family and they can enjoy it for 100 years or more. So basically, anytime you buy a corset, you should ask yourself, you know, is it really worth it? How long do I intend to keep this? And how many days do I intend to wear it? I've mentioned in many of my previous videos that an affordable starter corset off a place like eBay, it might only cost you $50, but it might only last you maybe 500 hours of wear or even less, and it might not come with a warranty and whatnot, so you can't get it replaced if it breaks. If you purchase a corset for $500, that's really meant for waist training, and it lasts you 10,000 hours of wear. That's basically double the return on your investment. You spent 10 times more than the $50 corset, but you gained 20 times more use out of it. So that is ultimately a better investment in the long run. So I'm not saying to never buy cheaper corsets. They have their place as well. For instance, if you buy a $100 corset as a corset beginner and you basically only wear it for about 3 months before you lose interest, or you just decide that corseting isn't for you, then it's a lot better to have only spent that $100 instead of, say, $500. And I'm also not saying that you shouldn't buy more than one corset at a time, because I am certainly guilty of owning many, many, many corsets. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that when it comes to medium to large investments, consider the long-term benefits and consequences of your purchase. And like I said before, also consider how it's going to fit on you, how it's going to feel. You know, custom fit is almost always more comfortable. And the biggest point I think I can make is to never expect a $50 corset to perform like it's a $300 corset. And if you don't take into account all those swindlers and crooks and, you know, people who try to charge more for the quality. But basically, all that aside, you really do get what you pay for. And after I have wasted literally thousands and thousands of dollars on cheap corsets, I have absolutely never found a loophole in that whole quality price ratio, that relationship right there. So just keep that in mind. But one thing that I should probably add in here at the very end is what's my excuse for buying so many corsets. Like I said before, I consider them luxuries and somewhat of an investment towards this channel, towards my website. I review these corsets and I sell a lot of the old ones, and that money that I make from selling those secondhand corsets, it goes right back into funding more corsets to review for you guys, into funding better research tools for my website and articles, and basically providing more material for future videos. So it's my hope that the money that I spend, the money that I invest in this, it ends up saving you guys time and money in the end. So for anybody new who's watching this right now and you're not familiar with these research tools, I have an enormous playlist of corset reviews. I have the Corseteer map where you can search out corset makers that live close to you. I have the guided galleries for people looking for something very specific. I have the Corset Dimensions directory, which basically lists the underbust, waist, and hip measurements, and also the bust measurements of overbust corsets of all of the standard size corsets that I have tried in the past. I have a list of brands organized by budget if you are of limited income. All of this information is available for free, and it's there so you can make an informed purchase and you can save your money. So basically, consider my loss your gain. Please, it's there for you. It's there for you to use, so please make the most of it. And so that's basically where I want to end it today. If you have any questions about what I said today, please feel free to leave a comment down below. If you have any of your own techniques for basically judging the worth of a corset that you buy or budgeting for a future corset, please feel free to leave a comment down below as well and let us know. And I will see you guys on Friday for the next review. Bye.